Hey you guys, it's Amanda with Healthy House on the Block, and I'm here with our weekly video and tip on creating an indoor space that truly supports your health and your wellness. This week we are tackling bedding. We are going to cover everything from your sheets to your blankets, duvet covers, comforters, all of it. And we're going to talk about why it is so important to find something either low toxin, depending on your budget, or completely toxin free for your space. It's going to impact your health and wellness. It's going to impact actually the health of your space as well. And we're going to talk about why it matters. So one of my favorite places to start with families who want to transform their homes is to start where they sleep. Our bedrooms and our kids' bedrooms can be such a supportive space for our health and wellness. In fact, at the Institute for Building Biology, we actually refer to it as a sleep sanctuary. So this covers mattresses, pillows, and of course, organic bedding. And I have come to absolutely love this phrase as it really speaks to just what our bedrooms could have the potential for: restoration and healing. And when we sleep, our body works in a different way to finish up all of the work from during the day. Our brains, our muscles, and systems have time to detox, heal, and get ready to start another day. So by keeping our bedrooms and our beds in line with low toxin living, it gives our bodies a break from the toxin overload we can experience throughout the day. We know that proximity to a toxin and length of exposure are often two of the key factors in how our bodies are affected by what's around us. And this is why organic bedding really does matter in terms of creating a healthy space at home. It's also why I think it's such an excellent place to start when you begin cutting toxins from your home and your life. So as always, I'm going to be sharing with you more than just my top picks. Instead, I want to share with you the hows and the whys of choosing a healthier bedding set, sheet set, whatever it may be that goes on your bed to create a truly toxin-free environment. So first, let's talk about why these toxins even matter. I mentioned it before. Two of the biggest factors that come into play when we're exposed to a toxin is the proximity to a toxin, as well as the length of time that we're in contact with that toxin. So sleeping for 6 to 8 hours a day on a toxin like formaldehyde or pesticides is a really long exposure, and chances are your body is in direct contact with those toxins. So a while ago, I shared a post with you about the 3 main ways that we are exposed to toxins on a constant basis. And the idea is that we are exposed to toxins we ingest, toxins that are touching our skin, and toxins we inhale. Any toxin we are exposed to in more than one of those ways automatically makes it a toxin that can be really difficult for our bodies to get rid of through the natural detoxification process. So our bodies naturally detoxify throughout the day constantly. But what happens when we are in constant contact with more toxins than our body can get rid of? So that's when the idea of body burden comes in. Body burden is when our systems, such as our gut, our immune system, our hormones, can't function properly because they are constantly under the burden of toxins. So imagine our body trying to detoxify while we sleep. This is prime time for our bodies to naturally detox. We have no food coming in and no external toxin exposures, so our bodies can work on the toxins that have entered our body throughout the day. Our bodies can truly restore, and you can start the next day fresh with a system that has been mostly cleansed. So by keeping sleeping spaces free from as many toxins as possible, it makes this scenario possible. Obviously, there are other factors that could come into play, making the detoxification process a bit more tricky. For example, if you had mold exposure, it can halt the natural detoxification process. But overall, this is the idea behind keeping our sleeping sanctuary just that, a place to let our bodies heal. So conventional bedding often has a number of toxins present that we haven't even thought about. You may think that you're buying just any old sheet set, but really what you're getting could potentially have more toxic components. So if your sheets or blankets are advertised as wrinkle-free, chances are they've been treated with formaldehyde. Formaldehyde and other chemicals are embedded into fabrics to make them resistant to not only wrinkles, but also stains and liquids. So any sheet, blanket, or bedding that advertises some sort of superpower like stain resistant, moisture wicking, or wrinkle free is a red flag to look into the product. Formaldehyde is a known carcinogen and off gases, meaning it's a toxin we inhale as well as absorb. So bleach contains the chemical chlorine in order to whiten and disinfect. Bedding that is stark white has the potential for being treated with chlorine bleach to get the fibers bright and beautiful. Chlorine is one of those toxins that we come into contact with throughout the day, and our bodies can become overwhelmed and burdened by it. It's been linked to an increased risk for asthma and allergies in children and an increased risk of melanoma and skin cancer. So even if you're purchasing plain old cotton sheets, chances are the cotton grown to make those sheets have also been treated with pesticides. So I wrote about pesticides not too long ago, and I shared just how many places in your home pesticides are found. We're exposed almost constantly with our clothing, textiles, and of course, our bedding and sheets. And pesticides in our homes and textiles have been linked to an increased diagnosis of ADHD in children, an increased risk of childhood cancers, an increased risk for developmental defects and stillbirths. And in adults, there has been a strong link to Parkinson's disease, altered hormone production, and endocrine function, as well as reproductive problems. So often sheets come in a variety of beautiful colors and designs, but unfortunately, some of the conventional sheets you may find use heavy metals in production of pigments. So these heavy metals include both cadmium and lead, which are both toxic to our bodies. And these heavy metals build up within our systems as our bodies take longer to detox the toxin. Children have an especially difficult time detoxifying from heavy metals, and so it's best to avoid them altogether. Sheets that have rich and bright colors should be double checked before purchasing, and these heavy metals are not only harmful to our bodies, but also the environment and wildlife that experiences the runoff from production. And then finally, microfiber. Those brushed microfiber sheets might feel super soft, but microfiber is made up of polyester and other man-made materials that release VOCs like formaldehyde into the air, as well as phthalates. So essentially you're sleeping on tiny particles of plastic. I talk about phthalates and plastics a lot because it's a toxin that we are constantly exposed to in our homes. And it's a toxin we can work hard to reduce wherever possible. So phthalate exposure has been linked to reproductive issues and neurological toxicity in both kids and adults. And it's a huge endocrine disruptor, which in turn affects the thyroid function, immune system, and reproductive system. And phthalates have also been linked to lower IQ in children, problems with attention and hyperactivity, as well as poor social communication. But the biggest problem with microfiber is because a type of plastic that it contains, it never breaks down. It's staying in our bodies and our environment for extremely long times, and it's affecting our ecosystem and our bodies negatively for years, even after use. So with all of that, I think the best way to move forward is to figure out how do we find toxin-free bedding, and that is to look for organic sheets, organic blankets, and organic comforters. And that being said, not all organic is the same. So we're going to go through what you need to look for when you're looking to purchase toxin-free bedding. So the Global Organic Textile Standard, or GOTS, is one of the best certifications you can get. They make sure dyes and inks comply with biodegradability and toxicity requirements. GOTS also makes sure that products do not contain any allergic, carcinogenic, or toxic chemical residues. So finally, they also certify that their factories have a high functioning wastewater treatment plant to ensure it protects local ecosystems and water supplies. You can also look for an organic content standard. So this would be OCS or OE, and it's another great third-party verification that checks the products to make sure they contain the proper amount of organically grown materials. This certification doesn't necessarily address the use of chemicals or environmental aspects of a product, but it is still a good one to look at. There's also the Ecotech Standard 100. They do independent testing and certification to verify textiles at all stages of production. They look at the raw and dyed fibers and fabrics, the finished fabrics and knits, as well as ready-made fabrics. And the testing they provide focuses on the intended use of the textile and how much skin contact it will have as well. And then finally, you can look for trusted brands. I looked high and low for sheets and bedding for my whole family, from our king size bed to my little one's crib, and I was able to find brands that I 100% trusted for organic sheets and organic bedding, which is what I'm sharing on the blog this week. On the blog, if you head over, I have the link in the description, you can see all of my trusted brands, all my top picks. There are even some that I threw on so you could find them on Amazon, so it makes it a little bit easier. But these are the big companies that I like to go to. They make high quality products. And like I said, you can head over to the blog to find all of that. I have every component for a bed, any size you would need. But as you go about creating your healthy home, consider making some permanent changes to your bedding and to your bedroom. Switching to organic bedding, organic sheets, and blankets can be an investment at first, but you're investing in your health and your wellness and creating a healthier space at the same time. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you can take just a little piece of this and apply it to your own bedding situation at home, whether it's to get something low toxin or get something completely toxin free. Either way is a step in the right direction, and I hope you will subscribe to my channel because I am here every single week with new topics and new ideas on how to create a space that is as free from toxins as possible, a space that really supports your health and your wellness.